I've done something and I need to share it with you. If you want to know what that is, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène and welcome back, or if it's your first time, welcome to HMM Makeup or Makeup. I am going to talk about Pan That palette today, and there's been a change. There's definitely been a change. In the comment section, and after the latest Pan That palette video where I showed I only have 4 eyeshadows left in the Smashbox Matte Exposure, I came to the realization that part of why I'm not using the Buxom Suede Seduction palette is because it irks me because there's a sharp corner here, and I said that that's why I was really happy to put that in as one of the options for the companion palette. This is the companion palette basically to me finishing the Smashbox Matte Exposure that I just showed you. And I realized that I really dislike this packaging, not because of the packaging itself, but because of the fact that this palette is broken. It's sharp. I don't like it. It's a reminder of the fact that I broke Hot Yacht, which is one of the 6 original shadows in here. I actually show you this deepest one, which was my favorite, to be frank. Overall, it's just bad vibes. And when I realized that it was not bringing me joy to use this, I thought, well, how am I going to fix it? And I did say that the Smashbox Matte Exposure's packaging is fantastic, and I love using it because it's a very robust, durable palette, perfect to take around, perfect to have on my beauty counter. There's no comparison between this one and this one. No comparison. And I was struggling with the love that we all have to see a completely empty palette. And that's why I hadn't moved these over. But this is not working for me. It's not working for me. Which is why it's now empty. So I guess you get to see an empty palette. So what have I done with all of these shadows? And I'll put what this looked like right here before I emptied it. What have I done? Well, first off, I'm going to keep these pans because I do have another one of these palettes from Buxom, which is Dolly's Wild Side. And I love that palette. It is not broken. There's nothing wrong with it. And I can always use these pans that conveniently come out of the palette, and I can Franken shadow them to put into that Dolly's Wild Side. So I'm going to keep this palette just for the ability to, or the convenience of having these empty pans stored. I love the idea of Franken shadows, and thank you for the suggestion for those of you who have suggested it. And I'm just going to keep this as a receptacle of these 6 pans and keep it up and out of sight in my storage up above. So that's this palette. Now, what did I do with the contents of this palette? Well, that was 6 pans, but they're quite large pans. They're 1.4 grams each. And I happen to have, out of the matte exposure, a total of, let's see here, 6, 12, 14 minus 4. I had 10 pans available in this palette. So what have I done? Let's take a look. Now, you'll see some cracks with the drying. The center pans were a little bit, there's a little bit too much alcohol in them. But I have pressed all of the Buxom shadows into this Smashbox Matte Exposure palette, and I'm super happy. So this one, and then these 3, as you can obviously tell, are the ones that were in the Smashbox Matte Exposure. And all of the other ones are repressed Buxom shadows. Now, because you know there are 10 pans, you'd say, well, it's not all of the same shadows. I did end up Franken shadowing, if that can be a verb, all of the other items into some modified versions of themselves. And I'm not huge on kind of a orangey brown, so this one I mixed with another shadow. This one I diluted a little bit, and the other ones are all just variations of those colors. I made 3 different shades of highlighter, this one being the most intense to least, and this one is a nice matte beige that I wanted to have at least one pan of that easy to use matte beige. But these are all great crease colors. This one is obviously a lighter color even to set eye primer. So I've got quite a little bit of variety back into this palette, which I think is going to be great for a one single palette to reach for when I want to start a look. And then I would just enhance what I've used from my Pan That palette and create some looks. This is not a look that I did using this palette, by the way. It is my first look of that I've used Quad of the Month to create. And I will cover that at the very end of the video if you want to know how I created this look. Let's do the quick chat on this quad because I forgot to insert it at the end. And here is the quad. If you have not seen me swatching this quad, let me do the review and intro video right there for you. I'll just insert it. And I have 4 shadows: Electric Venom, Eye of Newt. This one is from Makeup Forever, M546, and then this one is Sprite. These 2 are from Clionadh Cosmetics, Luxie Beauty, and Makeup Forever. And what I did was I ended up using Sprite all over the lid, everywhere. I ended up using my Pan That palette for the brow bone highlight because there's no highlight in here for brow bone. I used this color on 2/3 of the lid. This color was to accentuate, I'd used this color before this color. This one was outer crease, outer lid, outer lower lid, and then this one was from, well, pretty much 2/3 of the lid with that one. And then I used the Electric Venom as a pop of green on the center lid. That is how I did my first look with these 4 shadows. And I can see how that was the #1 quad chosen for the first edition of Choose the Quad of the Month. And thank you for that. I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. All right, so let's close off this video. So that is what I've done. I know that some people will be excited about this, and I know other people will be disappointed about this. But I just didn't see myself using the Buxom palette for something like 2 to 3 years with packaging I really didn't like. And to be able to continue to use this packaging brings me joy. And so I have reweighed this palette right after I did all the repressing and everything had dried. And we're going to start back up with just one palette. It might be a little weird, but it's going to work for me. And the whole idea being that I want to finish those 4 shadows from the Matte Exposure because my Matte Exposure is really quite old. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it every single time. I look forward to what you have to say. And with that, I will say see you in the next video. But for now, take care.